The number one reason people tell me they are not moving to Kitsap County, the single biggest hesitation I hear from out-of-state buyers, from people who've been looking at Kitsap for months, from people who intellectually know it makes financial sense and emotionally want the lifestyle, is this: but the ferry. And I get it. You grew up driving to work. You never commuted by boat. The idea of your entire morning hinging on whether a vessel departs on time in the Pacific Northwest in January sounds like a recipe for a recurring nightmare. But here's what I want you to know. The people who are most nervous about the ferry before they move here are almost universally the people who love it most after they do. Not because the ferry is perfect. It isn't. Because nobody actually tells them how it works before they get here. So that's what this video is, the complete, honest, practical guide to the Kitsap ferry system. Every route, every cost, every insider tip, and what to actually do when something goes sideways. By the end of this, the ferry stops being a fear and becomes a commute you can plan around. Here's the story most people have about the Kitsap ferry before they live here. It goes a little like this. The ferry is romantic for the first week. Then it becomes a thing that ruins your morning when it's full, makes you wait 55 minutes in a parking lot when you miss it, cuts off your signal so you can't close that deal on your phone, and on any given rainy Tuesday in November, makes you genuinely question every life decision you've ever made. That's the story, and I'll be straight with you. It's not entirely wrong. That version of the ferry exists. I've heard it from clients, I've watched people underestimate it and then spiral. But here's what that story is missing. It's describing what the ferry is like for someone who hasn't learned to use it, someone who's still fighting it instead of working with it. The contrast is this: the experienced Kitsap ferry commuter has a completely different relationship with those same 28 or 35 minutes. They're not on their phone, anxiously refreshing email while stuck in traffic. They're on the upper deck with a coffee, watching the incredible views to come, doing their reading, making their calls in the terminal before boarding. They've built a morning routine around the ferry, and by the time they're sitting at their desk in Seattle, they've already had a better start to their day than most of their colleagues who drove the 520 bridge. You see, the ferry is not the problem. The lack of a system is the problem, and this video is the system. Hi, I'm James Bergstrom. I work real estate in Kitsap County full-time, which means the ferry conversation comes up in nearly every relocation client call I have. I know which routes serve which neighborhoods. I know what the parking situation actually looks like at 7:15 in the morning. I know what the passes cost, what the backup plans are, and what happens when Washington State Ferry sends a cancellation alert at 5:42 a.m. I'm going to give you that knowledge in one video, so you don't have to piece it together from Reddit threads and 3-year-old blog posts. Here's the structure. We're going to go route by route: the Bremerton Fast Ferry, the Bainbridge Island Washington State Ferry run, the Kingston Edmonds route, and the Southworth route serving South Kitsap. For each one, I'll cover the crossing time, the cost, the parking situation, who it's actually built for, and the pro tips that turn a frustrating commute into a functional one. Then, we're going to get into what I call the commuter survival kit: the apps, the Orca card setup, the cancellation protocol, and the employer benefit most people leave money on the table with. And I'm going to close with the reframe that changes how most new Kitsap commuters think about the whole thing, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's start with the route most of you are actually going to use. That's the Bremerton Fast Ferry. If you're living in or near Bremerton, Port Orchard, or Central Kitsap County, which covers a huge swath of where people actually buy homes in this county, the Kitsap Transit Bremerton Fast Ferry is your primary lifeline to Seattle. Here are the fundamentals. $2 eastbound to Seattle, $13 westbound back to Bremerton. The asymmetric fare structure, $2 to Seattle, $13 back to Bremerton, was a deliberate policy to encourage Seattle workers to try the service. If you're commuting daily, the monthly pass is $196, makes this the only math that really matters. At 20 round trips a month, Your effective per trip cost is under $5 each way. Here's how the morning actually works for a Bremerton area commuter. You park your car at a free park and ride lot. There are multiple across Kitsap County, all connected to the terminal by Kitsap Transit bus routes. You board the bus, ride to the Bremerton Transportation Center, walk to the boardwalk, and you're on the water in 28 minutes, literally. On the Seattle end, you arrive at Coleman Dock, Pier 50, right in downtown. From there, you're a 10-minute walk to most of South Lake Union, a Link light rail ride to Capitol Hill or the University District, or a short lift to anywhere in the urban core. Your employer's transit benefit, if they offer one, may cover the Kitsap Transit bus leg and even contribute toward the ferry pass. More on that in point 4. The Bremerton Fast Ferry runs on a tight schedule and the most popular morning sailings fill up. So know your backup. If you miss the Fast Ferry, the Washington State Ferry, which is the large auto ferry, runs the same Bremerton-Seattle route in about 60 minutes. Yes, it's slower, but it's always your plan B. So download the Kitsap Transit app and the Washington State Ferries app. Check both every morning. The Bremerton Fast Ferry is the highest value commute option in the county for people working downtown Seattle because it's 28 minutes, door to downtown. For context, the average Seattle freeway commute from many of the city's own neighborhoods takes much longer than that. The ferry isn't an inconvenience layered on top of your Seattle commute. For most Bremerton area commuters, it is the Seattle commute, and it's a good one. Now, if you're looking at Bainbridge Island or the north end of the county near Paulsbo and Kingston, the calculus looks a bit different. Let me show you that route. The Washington State Ferry from Bainbridge to Seattle is one of the most utilized commuter routes in the Pacific Northwest and one of the most underrated commute experiences in any major metro area. All right, $9.25 adult one-way, paid Seattle to Bainbridge, and Bainbridge to Seattle is free for walk-ons. It's $120 a month, which is valid for up to 31 round trips. $15 to $21 one way, depending on vehicle size, paid both ways for vehicles. Approximately every 50 to 55 minutes on weekdays. Day parking on Bainbridge Island side is $10 a day, or a monthly pass is available. A few things to understand about how the Bainbridge fare structure works. Walk-on passengers only pay the fare in one direction, from Seattle to Bainbridge. The Bainbridge to Seattle leg is free for pedestrians. This is built into the round-trip pricing. So if you're commuting by car with the ferry, you pay both ways. The monthly walk-on passenger pass from Washington State Ferry is $120, significantly less than the Kitsap Transit Fast Ferry pass, but covers a longer 35-minute crossing on a larger vessel with more amenities, a galley, an outdoor deck, and more seating capacity. Who is this route built for? It's the right option if you're living on or near Bainbridge Island, which comes at a premium price point but offers a genuinely distinct small town on water lifestyle. It's also the right choice if you need to get into Seattle on a less rigidly scheduled timeline than the Fast Ferry, since Washington State Ferry runs more frequent sailings throughout the day. For vehicle commuters who need their car in Seattle to get to a job site, run afternoon errands, or travel beyond the walkable downtown core, this is your option for getting across the water with your vehicle. Budget the vehicle fare into your monthly calculation. The Bainbridge Ferry does not have vehicle reservations. It's strictly first come, first served. So if you're driving your car onto the ferry during peak commute hours, arrive 20 to 30 minutes early. Walk-ons have a dedicated lane and board faster. Many Bainbridge commuters park near the terminal and walk on rather than queuing in the vehicle line even for round trips. Washington State Ferry monthly passes are loaded on an Orca card, the same card used for buses and Link light rail. In Seattle, which makes the full transit connection seamless on the Seattle end. Bainbridge Island is the most expensive submarket in Kitsap County, but the commute is almost all the most seamlessly connected. It's 35 minutes walk off the boat and you're in downtown Seattle. For people who are in downtown Seattle multiple days a week but want to come home to a small island with good schools and waterfront character, this route is the reason that trade-off is possible. Whether you're coming to Washington State or you're already here and trying to figure out which part of the state makes sense for your household, I put together a free Washington State relocation guide, living breakdowns and what to ask before you commit. It's down below in the description. If you've been looking at homes in North Kitsap, the Kingston, Paulsville, or Hansville corridor, or if your job is located in Edmonds, Shoreline, Linwood, Everett, or the broader Snohomish County employment hub, rather than downtown Seattle, this route deserves serious attention. Most people default to thinking about the Bremerton and Bainbridge Island routes because those are the ones with the direct Seattle connection. The Kingston-Edmonds route is less famous, but it's actually one of the fastest crossings in the entire Washington State ferry system, and it connects to a completely different part of the greater Seattle Metro. It's $11.05 for an adult as of January 1st, 2026. 21 minutes across the water. For context, that's shorter than many Bellevue to Seattle highway commutes on a Tuesday morning. If your workplace is anywhere in the Edmonds to Everett corridor, this route effectively gives you a waterfront North Kitsap address with a fast vehicle crossing to the North Seattle Metro. Here's the commuter math for this route. You drive to Kingston, park across to Edmonds in 21 minutes, and from Edmonds, you have options. Sound Transit Sounder North Commuter Rail to King Street Station in Seattle, Community Transit buses to Linwood and Everett, or you drove your car over and you're already where you need to be. For someone working in Snohomish County at a healthcare system, a naval facility, Amazon's Everett operations, Boeing, this is not the compromise option. This might be the optimal option. You're living in North Kitsap with water views and small town character, and your commute is 21 minutes of ferry plus local driving time. The Kingston-Edmonds route is the most underused and underappreciated option in the Kitsap ferry portfolio, specifically because most relocation content focuses on the Bremerton and Bainbridge downtown Seattle connections. So if your employment is anywhere north of downtown, run your commute math against this route before you assume Bremerton or Bainbridge is your only option. You may find that North Kitsap and Kingston crossing actually shortens your door to desk time. If you're looking at South Kitsap, Port Orchard, Olalla, the Harper Corridor, or anywhere along the southern peninsula, the Southworth Terminal is your gateway to the mainland. And here's what makes it genuinely unique in the Kitsap ferry system. It's the only terminal in the county where you have two completely different ferry options operating from the same dock. Option 1, the Washington State Ferry's auto ferry to Fauntleroy in West Seattle. And Option 2, the Kitsap Transit Southworth Fast Ferry passenger only direct to downtown Seattle. Different vessels, different operators, different destinations, same dock. Let's break them both down. Approximately 30 minutes direct to downtown Seattle. It's $2 eastbound, Southworth to Seattle, and $13 westbound, Seattle to Southworth. The Vashon stop is the key variable to understand on the Washington State Ferry side. The Fauntleroy Vashon Southworth route runs with 2 or 3 boats depending on vessel availability. So when 3 boats are operating, some sailings run direct Southworth to Fauntleroy in about 30 minutes. When a sailing stops at Vashon first, it runs 40 to 45 minutes. The schedule clearly marks which sailings stop at Vashon, so always check before you plan a tight morning. Here's the practical decision framework for South Kitsap commuters. If you need your car in Seattle or your workplace is in West Seattle, Burien, or the southern Seattle Metro, the Washington State Ferry auto ferry to Fauntleroy is your vehicle connection. You arrive in West Seattle, then drive wherever you need to go, which for a lot of Seattle and SoDo area employers is actually faster than coming through downtown. If you're a foot commuter headed to downtown Seattle, South Lake Union, Capitol Hill, the financial district, the Kitsap Transit Southworth Fast Ferry takes you there directly in about 30 minutes. Same as the Bremerton Fast Ferry. Same $196 a month pass. No Fauntleroy detour, no downtown bus connection, no extra leg. Just walk off the boat at Coleman Dock and you're there. So for many South Kitsap commuters, the smart move is to hold the Washington State Ferry auto ferry in reserve as the plan B. If your fast ferry cancels, walk to the same dock and catch the next Washington State Ferry sailing to Fauntleroy. You won't get to downtown as fast, but you'll get there. As of May 2025 rate change with approximately 215 spaces, it's a meaningfully larger lot than some other Kitsap terminals, but peak hour sailings do fill it. Arrive 15 to 20 minutes early for the morning rush sailings. Route 186 bus from Port Orchard connects to the terminal. If you'd rather not drive and park, Southworth is the gateway for the most value-priced part of Kitsap County. So if you're looking at Port Orchard, Belfair, or South Kitsap and wondering whether the commute is viable, the answer is yes. And it's more flexible than most people realize. You have a direct fast ferry to downtown Seattle, a vehicle ferry to West Seattle, and 2 options share a single terminal. That's not a compromised commute infrastructure. That's a 2-lane highway to the mainland. South Kitsap has historically been the most affordable submarket in the county. So if your household can work with either the fast ferry schedule or the Washington State Ferry auto ferry timing, you are accessing some of the best value per dollar real estate in the entire Puget Sound region. Okay, 4 routes covered. Now let me give you the stuff that nobody puts in their brochure. The tools, the tactics that turn a stressful ferry commute into a reliable one. Basically, your commuter survival kit. This is the section most ferry guide videos completely skip. Not because it's not important, but because it requires someone to have actually used the system, not just described it from a distance. Let me go through the 5 things every Kitsap ferry commuter needs to know and set up before their first week. The Orca card is the regional transit payment system, covering virtually every public transit option in the greater Seattle Puget Sound area. Kitsap Transit, Washington State Ferries, King County Metro, Sound Transit, and Community Transit. 1 card, just tap and go. Load your ferry pass, either the Kitsap Transit Fast Ferry monthly pass or the Washington State Ferry monthly passenger pass onto your Orca card. You don't dig for cash, you don't scramble for a ticket, you tap and walk on. Get this set up before you ever set foot on a sailing. Buy your Orca card and an Orca vending machine at the ferry terminal or online at orcacard.com. The Transit Go Ticket mobile app also allows you to buy fast ferry and bus passes directly on your phone. It's useful as a backup if you forget to reload your Orca card. The apps, let's talk. There's 2 apps, no exceptions. First, the Washington State Ferries app. This shows real-time vessel locations, sailing status, cancellation alerts, and schedule changes. So if Washington State Ferry cancels a sailing or is running late, you will see it here first. Not from a fellow commuter, not from a news alert. Second, the Kitsap Transit app or the Transit Go Ticket app if you're on the fast ferry. This covers your Bremerton or Kingston fast ferry schedule, real-time bus tracking, and fare payment if you're not using a physical Orca card. Make sure and set up your Washington State Ferry email or text travel alerts for your specific route, which is a free subscription at wsdot.com. When a sailing cancels, you'll get a notification before you've left the house. That 6-minute heads up is the difference between making your backup plan work and standing in a parking lot calculating how late you're going to be. Sailings do cancel. It happens rarely on the fast ferry due to mechanical issues, extreme weather, but when it does, having a protocol eliminates the panic. So for Bremerton Fast Ferry commuters, your backup is the Washington State Ferry auto ferry on the same route. It takes 60 minutes instead of 28, but it runs on its own schedule and is almost always operational. Walk to the Washington State Ferry terminal. It's close to the Fast Ferry dock in Bremerton, and if you're a Fast Ferry pass holder and missed the sailing due to a cancellation, contact Kitsap Transit about reimbursement for your Washington State Ferry fare on that leg. For Bainbridge and Kingston commuters on Washington State Ferry, cancellations are rare, but do happen during severe weather. Your backup is driving the long way around over the Tacoma Narrows Bridge or waiting for the next sailing. In Kitsap, there is always a next sailing. It's just a matter of how soon. So build a 10-minute buffer into your terminal arrival every morning, especially in your first month. Veteran commuters arrive early. They claim their spot and board confidently. New commuters can run late and miss the sailing and blame the ferry. The ferry didn't change the margin, did it? So give yourself the margin. Here is the cell service reality on the Kitsap Ferry, because I want to give you an accurate picture and not a pleasant one. For most of the crossing, cell signal is present, but inconsistent. You may have solid 4G, 5G coverage near both terminals and as you pass close to land. But mid-channel, the signal weakens. How much depends on your carrier, your device, and which route you're on. So the Bainbridge route, being shorter and closer to Seattle's metro antenna density, tends to have better coverage for more of the crossing. The Bremerton crossing, it's longer, more open water, has more variable signal in the middle third. The practical upshot is do not plan a critical client call for the middle of the crossing. Plan to be unreachable for about 8 to 12 minutes, then back online. Most experienced ferry commuters download their content before boarding, like like a podcast, audiobook, email drafts, and use the crossing time as offline work time. T-Mobile tends to report the most consistent signal on these routes, and Verizon is second. AT&T is more variable mid-channel, but don't make a carrier switch based solely on this. All carriers have improved coverage significantly on these crossings in the past 3 years. The dead zone window is shorter than the anxiety around it suggests. If you're commuting to a Seattle employer, this one might literally pay for a significant portion of your ferry pass. The IRS allows employers to provide pre-tax commuter benefits up to $315 per month. Many larger Seattle employers, tech companies, healthcare systems, law firms, government agencies offer this as a standard benefit. If your employer offers a transit subsidy or a pre-tax commuter spending account, your ferry pass qualifies. So before you price out your commute, have a 10-minute conversation with your HR department about what transit benefits they offer. So for a lot of Kitsap commuters, this conversation cuts their effective ferry pass cost in half. That's not hypothetical. That's a $100 a month raise sitting on a table unclaimed. If your employer doesn't yet offer this and you work in Seattle, Kitsap Transit can provide materials to help you make the case. You don't have to figure this out all alone. The Commuter Survival Kit is not complicated. One Orca card, 2 apps, a 10-minute morning buffer, and a phone call to HR about transit benefits. So 4 things. Once you've set those up, the ferry system starts working for you instead of against you. But there's one more thing I want to talk about, and it's the reason that veteran Kitsap commuters don't just tolerate the ferry, they defend it. It's the mindset reframe. I want to tell you something. I've heard from enough Kitsap commuters independently, unprompted in different conversations, that I believe is simply true, plus also from my own personal experiences. The ferry doesn't just get you across the water for a certain type of person, it completely restructures what a commute means. Think about the experience of driving to work in a major metro. You're in a metal box navigating other metal boxes, road rage. The timing is entirely outside your control. You can't read, you can't decompress, and you arrive at your desk having already spent some fraction of your day in a mild fight or flight state from the cognitive load of traffic, and then you do it again on the way home. Now think about what 28 or 35 minutes on the water actually is. It's a hard stop. The boat leaves when it leaves. You cannot speed it up by checking traffic apps. You cannot reroute around the obstacle for 28 minutes. You are simply moving from one place to another, and there is nothing to be done about it except be there. The people who thrive as Kitsap commuters, that forced stop is the greatest gift their commute gives them. They read books they'd never otherwise finish. They work through ideas in their head without distraction. They look at the water, the mountains, the Seattle skyline in the morning light, and they arrive somewhere, not just physically, but mentally. I'm not saying the ferry is a meditation retreat by any means. I'm saying that the structure it imposes, the fixed schedule, the decompression window, the non-negotiable departure time that forces you out of bed and out the door on time, builds a morning discipline that a lot of remote-friendly or highway commuter lifestyles erode over time. The commuters I've watched thrive in Kitsap are the ones who stopped fighting the ferry schedule and started building their life around it. Early dinner, so you make the 6:15 back to Bremerton. Podcast ready to go before you board. Coffee at the terminal, not in the car. You become an intentional commuter rather than a reactive one. And the commuters I've watched struggle, they're the ones who still want the ferry to work like a highway, who resent the schedule instead of planning around it, who board stressed because they cut it close again and they can't decompress because they're already calculating whether they'll make their 9 a.m. meeting. The ferry literally rewards the commuter who plans. It punishes the commuter who improvises. Here, basically, is the summary version of the mindset reframe. The ferry is a fixed constraint. Fixed constraints, when worked with instead of against, create structure. Structure creates habits, and good habits reduce the cognitive overhead of daily life. And reduced cognitive overhead is, in very concrete terms, a quality of life upgrade. That's not a sales pitch. That's what I've watched happen to enough people, including myself, over enough time to believe it. So when people say, but the ferry, what they're really expressing is uncertainty. And uncertainty goes away when you know the system. And you now know the system. So let me wrap this up. 4 ferry routes. The Bremerton Fast Ferry, 28 minutes to downtown Seattle, $196 a month. Free park and ride parking, your primary lifeline if you're Central or South Kitsap. The Bainbridge Island Washington State Ferry run, 35 minutes, $120 a month, walk-on pass. Coleman dock arrival, the right choice for Bainbridge residents and vehicle commuters who need their car in Seattle. The Kingston Edmonds routes, 21 minutes, the fastest crossing in the system, built for North Kitsap residents heading toward the Edmonds-Everett employment corridor. One construction caveat through July 2026 on the late evening departure, so check your route alerts. And the Southworth routes. 2 options from one dock, serving South Kitsap, the Washington State Ferry auto ferry to Fauntleroy, running 30 minutes direct or 40 to 45 minutes with a Vashon stop, and the Kitsap Transit Fast Ferry direct to downtown Seattle on the same $196 a month pass. The Commuter Survival Kit, 1 Orca card, 2 apps, Washington State Ferry and Kitsap Transit, a 10-minute morning buffer, and the transit benefit conversation with your HR department that could cut your effective pass costs significantly. And that's it. That's the whole system and the reframe. The ferry is not a complication added to your commute. So for the people who work with its schedule instead of against it, it becomes the best part of their workday. 30 minutes of moving without fighting. That is genuinely rare in a major metro area. Before you go, 2 things. If this video has moved you from I'm scared of the ferry to I think I can actually make this work, and you're ready to go deeper on whether Kitsap County is the right move for your household, the free Washington State relocation guide in the description is the right next step. It covers the whole picture, county comparisons, costs of living, housing market realities, and the questions most people don't think to ask until they're already in escrow. So if you're ready to have a real conversation about a specific property or a neighborhood, how far it is from which terminal, what the commute actually looks like from that address, and what the market is doing in that area, reach out to me directly. I'm here. I work this county every week, and I'm happy to walk through it with you. I'm James Bergstrom with Paramount Real Estate Group, and I'll see you in the next one.